Here we go. Yes. Okay.
Okay. There's a lot of cliches about bass players. I don't know if you saw this meme on the net. Shortly after lockdown was installed, they said, "Oh, just put a bass player on every corner on the street,
Oh
and
yeah.
people will go home right away."
Yeah, I saw it. I think
Yeah,
I've seen most of them. Yeah. But it was
yeah,
funny actually. That one.
yeah. I think you seem to have some kind of humor because I just saw this video that you took the music on the road despite the circumstances. And you were riding this tractor, or you call a monkey, yeah.
Monkey, yeah.
And you you drove these records around. So what
Well,
was your way?
since all my gigs are cancelled, so I have time to do stuff like this. So, so
Yeah,
yesterday I was thinking I should make the record is going to be out tomorrow, so I need some kind of a clip. And then I saw this monkey, and then I thought that okay, let's take the music of the road.
yeah. But what took you so long to make an album under your own name? I know you're a busy player. You're in demand. Yeah. What took you so long to realize this? To make this project?
Yeah, well, I've been very busy actually. I've been very lucky to get to play with all these bands and band leaders I really like, and I just I wanted to use my time like that to play in the bands, and I think it's a group effort anyway. So I really like to be a member of a band. So I don't think that being a sideman is kind of a less valuable. It's all the same basically. So I just one project led to another one, and I just kept playing and enjoyed it. The same time, I was thinking about when the time is ripe, or how do you say it? When it's the right time, then I'm going to make my own album. And I was kind of gathering all the influences and just learning. And now it felt that now I have everything I need to make an album. I'm going to be happy with an album that has kind of I have something to say now. Just it took a while, but I really wanted to be really ready to make it, to have something to say, like my own thing. Because I think sometimes in this jazz thing, people make albums because you have to make an album because it's part of the thing, and maybe you don't have that much to say. I feel that this time I felt that now I have something to say actually, and now it's a good time. So.
Yeah, you've been an important contributor to many groups and many projects, but I was wondering, how does it feel to have the full responsibility in a way that this carries your name and now you're in the forefront? Is it a different feeling?
Yeah, it's a bit different, but I mean, it's not that different for me, I have to say, because I've been involved on like 100 jazz albums. Even when I'm a sideman, a part of a band, I like to take responsibility. I like to give ideas to the band leaders, if they want it or not. I mean, but I really want to be part of the whole musical situation. So that's what I actually wait from my sidemans on my band also. So I think that's part of the whole thing to being. It doesn't matter that much if you're a leader or a sideman. It's a group effort for me. Of course, the last word was this time. It was mine, and I actually found it very kind of inspiring to make really the last decisions. It wasn't that different, but I kind of yeah, I liked it a lot actually. Yeah.
You have a super lineup. I mean, there's some of the greatest players around. How did you pick? Pick them? Did you have the music in your head or on paper, and then you thought, "Huh, I'm gonna have these guys to realize this, to make this thing happen"?
Yeah, it was actually, well, it's a long process. All the guys I've known for, I mean, with Berneri, I've been playing for the last 20 years. So we kind of grew up together as musicians. And when I was thinking the kind of music I want to write and started writing, I was thinking obviously about certain musicians who would fit the music. But these guys, I've been playing with them a lot, and we really have a very nice connection, and I really know what they're going to do, and I knew that they're going to make like a great job with my music and really make it happen. Because the music it's quite loose. Many places it's quite loose, so I really need like this great improvisers to, and I want it to be alive and bubbling all the time. And I mean that's the thing.
There's one surprise for me. There's no Teppo Mäkinen. I was really surprised by that because you two guys are some of the most compelling rhythm sections you can imagine. You played together for ages, actually. But you choose Jonas Ripa. How did that happen?
I used to have this band. It was a quartet before Mikko Innanen joined the group. And this was already like 7-8 years ago. And during that time, I was playing a lot with Teppo, and I love playing and working with Teppo. So actually, I kind of wanted a different sound for my band because Teppo would be like the most obvious choice, and he's like a super musician. It has nothing to do with that, but I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a different sound for my band. But anyway, we're going to do things in the future with Teppo again, and I have things in my mind. Yeah, but it was about a little bit different sound because my stuff is maybe it's a little more free than the stuff we usually play with Teppo.
Yeah, there's 9 pieces. 8 were written by you, but there's one track written by Robert Charles Kingston, Mary Hartman, and this theme song of this satirical soap opera from the 70s, and I think I found one version that Sammy Davis Jr. recorded. How did you find this? Actually, I mean, this is a pretty goofy track.
It is.
What's the thing about the song?
Well, the thing is actually that there's a version, Ornette Coleman and Charlie Hayden doing a duo version. It's on an album called Soap Suds. And I really love the version. And of course, I'm a huge Charlie Hayden and Ornette Coleman fan also. So I kind of wanted to include something from Charlie Hayden on my album. It wasn't the most obvious choice. It's a good song, and the version is beautiful. You have to listen to it. It's great. And also, I immediately kind of heard Mikko Innanen playing the melody and playing the solo like he does on the album. It sounds absolutely beautiful. He's amazing on that track.
Another thing is, I mean, being from Germany, I really want to know this track has a certain gravity on the album. It's called Erzebenstraße.
Yeah.
I tried to Google it, but didn't find anything. It just always landed with the track by you, of course. But what is this thing, the Erzebenstraße?
How does it sound for you, the word? It's nonsense, isn't it? Nonsense.
I was, in Berlin, like many streets are named after small villages from around town, so maybe is there a place called Erzeben or whatever?
We were playing somewhere in Switzerland, and I was sharing a room with Mamba Abdissa Asseva, the percussion player.
Yeah.
Like half a year after I was at home, and I got a letter that said that it was written to me and Abdissa Asseva and our kid. And it was from Switzerland, and my address there was Erzeben Katu. For some reason, they thought that we're a couple and we have kids and we're living at the Erzeben Katu, Erzebenstraße, even though the Katu was called Fresen Katu. So that it's just this kind of stupid story, and I just made it into a tune. And Erzebenstraße, and it's they were inviting us, our little family, back from our Erzeben street, and so. But it's just a stupid story, but.
Well, yeah, you already mentioned Ornette Coleman and Charlie Hayden, and I think this music on the album is deeply rooted in the tradition of modern jazz. The band name quotes an era of independent private jazz recordings, it's the Antti Lötjönen Quintet East. I mean, this evokes a lot of images somehow. Late 60s, early 70s. But this music is never free jazz. Sometimes it's close, trying some borders. I was wondering how important is this kind of tradition for you?
Well, it is important, yeah. It's a big influence. I mean, of course, there's a lot of influences. I mean, I listen to a lot of different kind of music, classical music, pop music, everything. Yeah, it is a big influence. Yeah, all I have to say about it actually. But that's how it is.
Even if it comes to the cover art and the way it's done, it's the liner notes. It looks like an album from maybe 50 years ago or so. It's like, but also the design is super modern. I really like this art, you know, being in the tradition on one hand, but creating something totally new on the other hand. This is very exciting, I think.
That's great to hear, because that's something I'm trying to do, and that I think that's part of the how jazz for me kind of should be, that you really need to have something, you have to know a bit about the tradition, and you need to have the schooling and tradition in a way, but then you turn it to something new and something that sounds like yourself. I'm happy to hear that you hear it.
I read that one of your most important and earliest influences was Jaco Pastorius, which is not very surprising because he created something totally different in the 70s on the one hand. But then I read that you were studying older jazz. I was just listening to Duke Ellington, Jimmy Blanton recordings. I don't try to say, oh, this sounds like this sounds like that, but I thought maybe there's some Blanton in him. How important is Jimmy Blanton for you?
Well, he is very important. I mean, he took the bass, the double bass, as an instrument to it was a huge leap. He took it to the different level, and kind of the spirit in his playing, I really love it a lot, and he is important. Yeah.
Coming to sound, I mean, you mentioned Hayden, and Hayden has this super individual sound of his own, this big boom sound, and the way he plays, his influences. I think you have your unique sound. It's like you can't nail it. It's the Antti Lötjönen sound in a way. I think it's because, you know, he doesn't sound like this or that. It sounds like himself. How long does it take, or did it take to you to create your own sound? I mean, connected to your instrument, for example, like you've got the instrument, and what kind of process is this?
Well, I think it's a very long process, and I think it's still going on, the process. It's impossible to do it like intentionally, to find it, like try to work on that in a sense, like now I want to sound like myself. But if you're kind of, you're honest, you try to be honest and just play what you hear inside of your head, and you kind of have a vision, you need to have a vision of a sound. Then it's a combination of the things you kind of love and your influences, and everything is mixing and melting in your head, and what comes out at some point, hopefully, it's your own sound.
Given the fact that this is the first album under your name, there's just two little small pieces that show you as a soloist. It's the two monographs. There couldn't be much more difference between them. The first is like this miniature solo piece, and the second is this avant-garde noise sound thing. This is like a wide range of possibilities. I was wondering how many of those things, I think you recorded those at your place, it wasn't recorded in the studio. How many do you have of these? I mean,
I have a lot of those. Yeah, I was just improvising things and trying to search different kind of sounds and everything, and actually then ended up with these two. But yeah, I have for a solo bass album basically, where those tunes in my archives, and let's see what happens. But I kind of wanted to, the thing there was that for me, when I have like Mikko Innanen and Verneri Pohjola Jussi Kannaste in my band, actually that didn't make that much sense to play like a bass solos between, let's say, Mikko and Verneri, because I mean it's very hard to make it musically that it really has a point, because the big picture is kind of it works better when I'm just trying to keep the music bubbling and supporting those guys who have different kind of instruments and like great solistic kind of potential. So that's why there's no actually bass solos in those tunes. There are only these couple of like miniatures.
You recorded for We Jazz before with 3TM, for example. How important is it for you being part of this thing? Because I listen to a lot of contemporary stuff, and whenever I pick a We Jazz record, there's a certain sound that kind of catches me. Like, sound seems to be so important. As I said, it goes back to the tradition. I wouldn't say this could have been recorded sound-wise in 1972, for example, because of course the recordings are much more advanced nowadays. But what does it mean for you being part of this thing, the We Jazz thing?
It means a lot to me, because those guys, Matti and Rope and Ami, they are doing great work. And I mean, Matti has this great vision, and he kind of shares the passion of jazz music with the artist he has. And I think they're doing great job. And I mean, it means a lot. I think it feels like home for me, like musically. And I really feel like respected and yeah. And the thing, like I said before, they are sharing the same kind of passion for the music, like the musicians and us artists. So that makes me feel very good and happy. So yeah, very happy about it.
Yeah, cool. Thanks a lot. I hope that this music will really be taken on the road very soon. Maybe in fall, I think it might be a chance for live music again, but what we see, we have to wait. So
that's how it is, yeah. But we have the albums now, so we can listen to music from those albums. Yeah, but hopefully.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Stay safe. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.